back to Linda's Pantry, and today we are canning French onion soup. And I'm super excited. My book is falling apart. I've had so many evenings of, oh, this is what I want to make next. So this is the all-new Ball book of canning and preserving. I think this is the most current Ball canning book. And so French onion soup in here, I'm doubling the recipe because I want 7 quarts. And I don't mind having a quart in the refrigerator for lunches this week. So, yum. Anyway, it calls for 4 pounds of onions. I've got 10. I want to be super generous. I don't, because the onions are going to break down. And if you watch the Thrifty Chic Housewife, she talks about this. And the first time she made it, she said that it was a little bit too watery. So be very generous with the onions. I like to put at least 2/3 of the caramelized onions in there. I really feel like my jar needs to be as full as possible. So I'm right now doing the dirty work of slicing, and then I'm gonna cut each slice in half. So it's manageable when you go to eat it. You could do it in 4 if you like. I don't mind having a little bit longer onion. I don't want those tough pieces on the outside, but so 10 pounds of organic onions, and really you can use whatever onions you like. It also calls for, you're going to caramelize these down in butter. It calls for a little bit of salt, but I'm going to be using Better Than Bouillon for my beef. I might use a quart of beef bone broth. I believe I have a quart of that available. If I have the quarts, it's going to call for 3 quarts of beef bone broth. I don't believe I have that on the shelf. So you can use chicken, but anyway, or just veggie. So that being said, it's going to be double the recipe. So as I go along, you'll get to see this. I'm going to add thyme, Worcestershire, some red wine instead of the white wine that they call for. I believe I'm going to use a little bit of red wine too. So I'm going to split the wine, and or maybe I'll just use a bottle of Chardonnay, and I do have one that I really like, and it's a nice dry wine. You want a dry wine, whether it be red or white. My French onion soup recipe, I use red, so I've got to make that decision. All right, come on in. As you can see, my onions are caramelized. I've got 3 bay leaves down in here already. And I thought, oh, I better bring you back. So this is wonderful. It smells amazing. They're just a really nice blonde caramel color. I would do them even further for if I was doing my onion jam, but I'm not. So got a nice seal on that. Beef bone broth, 1 quart of that. And I'm gonna waive a little bit from the recipe only because I'm making it the way I make my own. I don't really measure a lot, but yes. So I've got a whole bottle of nice dry Chardonnay. And this one, it's a fun one. It's the Walking Dead Chardonnay. I bought it because of the label, but I really like it. It's super dry. Isn't that cool? Anyway, okay. 1 bottle of Chardonnay. Now I'm going to turn my heat up because it's got to come up, and I'm going to add some thyme, dried thyme. I have to have thyme with my French onion soup. And I'm going to add a nice heaping tablespoon at this point. We'll see how I feel like it tastes when I'm there. We're going to add another 8 cups of water that we're going to turn into beef broth because I'm using Better Than Bouillon. I'm also using some Kitchen Bouquet. I'm going to put in about, oh, there we go, a couple tablespoons of that, some Worcestershire sauce, maybe a tablespoon or 2 of that. Again, this is to taste, right? It already looks delicious, and we aren't even there. Some garlic, and I'm using garlic powder. Garlic powder. Ooh, a healthy 2 tablespoons. That's not granulated garlic, that's garlic powder. It'll add some extra flavor. Some better than bouillon for that 8 cups of water. I'm gonna get that in there. And I'm just gonna eyeball it and then I'm gonna taste. So as it comes along, it's almost ready to get it in the jar. I'm gonna let it simmer and let those bay leaves kind of lend their flavor for a minute. And I'm really pretty much doing mine just like I usually do, only I'm adding white wine instead of red wine, which is odd for me, but we'll see. Okay, so here's an update. This has been simmering now for about 20 minutes with a lid on it, and I just didn't feel like it was heavy enough in onion, so I added 2 onions that I did not, and you can see they're the lighter ones in there, that I did not caramelize, but this broth is delicious. I also added a cup of red wine. Yes, I did, Cabernet Sauvignon, and it just made it fantastic. So I think the difference, the 2 wines actually work. You wouldn't think they would, but they do. Okay, I'm ready. I'm so excited. I'm gonna get my jars. My jars are hot. They're, you know, honestly, it's very rare you have thermal shock, but this soup is so good and so rich. Now, I've got 1 bay leaf that I cannot seem to find, so I'm gonna watch. And if I spy it, I will grab it. But you wanna make sure you get plenty of onion in each ladleful. And, oh, yes, this is gonna be fantastic. Fantastic. I'm super excited. And like I said, I'm using all Tatler lids today because there's been people that are having trouble finding lids. They're also having trouble, and we don't need to debubble because it's such a liquid, but it is hot. Look how pretty that is. So we're gonna use all Tatlers today. Now what I do, I've got them down in the hot water. That's controversial. You've got 1, ouch. Let's see if I can. So this one, I don't know if you can see, it's got 2 marks right here on there, 2 black marks. That's how many times, this will be the 2nd time this lid, or this gasket was used. The lid, they can be used indefinitely. So you're gonna, if you're doing a Tatler, first off, wipe the rim of your jar. Or did I already do that? Anyway, center your Tatler on there. Get that centered on there good. And if you're new to Tatlers, I do it finger tight and just a hair more. And then if you want to back off, you can, but I honestly, I have found with these, that's perfect. So if you're wanting to have that learning curve, look how beautiful that is. It's like liquid gold. It's going in the canner, in a warm canner, 180 degrees, to wait for the other 6 jars. Hopefully we get 7 quarts and have some left over for dinner. Okay, guys. Quarts are gonna have to can for 75 minutes. It's a low acid food. So I am done. The canner's come down off of pressure. I release, once it comes down off of pressure and I take the weight off, I let it sit there for about 5 minutes. Then I undo all these thumb screws and I tilt the lid so it has a way to let the steam out for about 10 minutes. And then I take the lid off for another 5 to 10 minutes. Just so when I look in the canner, I mean, it's still boiling in the jars, but I want to make sure that I don't get a bunch of siphoning. I want these jars to come down off of pressure. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm super excited about this. This soup was so delicious. Anyways, Right now it's got great headspace. This is a liquid. They usually don't go down a whole lot, but it might lose a little bit. My water in the canner is clear, so I think I'm good to go. But, yep. Anyway, 7 quarts of French onion soup for my pantry shelves, and all done with Tatler lids, which I know a lot of you are wondering about the Tatler lids now that it's harder to find some lids. These all look like they've already sealed, so I'm not even going to worry about it. I will check them before I go to bed. I'll probably loosen the rings and make sure that I have a good seal. I know modern canning guidelines say to leave it, and I generally do, but I don't want anything to sit there for too long and take a chance of spoiling overnight. So I generally will make sure that those lids are sealed very carefully, very gingerly, but before I go to bed, and then I will take the rings off tomorrow, wash the jars, label them, and we will have French onion soup for probably the next year. I'll use these in various recipes. I never tip my jars when I'm pulling them out of the canner. Just so you know. Oh my gosh, those are gorgeous. I'm super excited. So that's my French onion soup out of the canner. 7 quarts. 2 jars have a little lower headspace than the other jars, but again, my canner is clear. There's nothing in there, so maybe the onions absorbed some. I have no idea. Canning. It's a great skill to have. I hope that right now, especially now with what's going on in the world, that you're going to learn some new skills that make you more self-reliant and quit relying on Big Brother to put the food on your shelf and make sure that it's healthy. They don't care. I do. So my family gets only the best. All right. Guys, I'll see you next time for another delicious recipe and or canning session. And if you like this video and you want to see what I make with it, please leave me a comment in the comment section. And if you've done this recipe, let me know what you've used it for. All right, guys. Bye.